Hello, everyone. Rebecca apparently hasn't seen that before. Welcome to the Disney Morning Show with your just differing energies of music as we make our way to the start line. I am Kyle, your executive editorial director for Laughing Place, and joining me is one of the co-founders, but not the one you're used to. I have Rebecca Mosley. Hi, Rebecca.
Hi, Kyle. Good morning.
Good morning. We have so much to get to. And she's got a fancy mug to.
Coffee is necessitated this morning. Hi, Gio. Good morning.
Hello, Gio.
Good morning and happy birthday, Fred.
Oh, it's his birthday today, not yesterday?
It was yesterday. Yesterday was the birthday.
We had a whole talk about it, yes.
So yesterday was the birthday.
But we are going to get started the same way we start every show, and that is with the stock price. So yesterday, when we checked in on the Disney stock, it was at $90.65. Let's see where it's at today. Ooh, almost to $93, up more than 2%.
Wow.
Yeah, the entire market's up today. It's
okay.
Back to where it was before things happened.
Okay, so okay, cool. Good morning, Jeannie.
Jeannie plus JPP.
Hey, if you're following us on Twitter, I know that he just showed Stitch, but we shared a TSA tray yesterday that features Stitch. So that's pretty cool. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I should have made that a pocket pick, and I still can. But first, we're going to get to the weather.
Okay.
I forgot where I put it. Here's Ethan.
Hello there, and welcome to another edition of the LP Disney Weather Report. You, doing that thing you do. Breaking my heart into a million pieces, like you always do. And you, don't mean to be cruel. You never even knew about the heartache I've been going through. Well, I try to forget you, girl. But it's just so hard to do, every time you do that thing you do. Let's get to the weather. Anaheim will be mostly sunny and 70 degrees today. Walt Disney World is also mostly sunny today and will warm to 85 but feel like 86. Castaway Cay will be 76 today and, surprisingly, not overly windy. Lookout Cay at Lighthouse Point will reach 79 today and will be partly cloudy. Disneyland Paris is around 80 at this hour and will cool into the 70s once the sun finally goes down. Tokyo will briefly hit its high of 72 tomorrow and will have lots of sunshine. Shanghai will be warm tomorrow with a high of 83 that feels even slightly warmer. It will also be mostly sunny with no chance of rain. Speaking of rain, though, Hong Kong will start the day with showers but should clear by lunchtime and lead them to reach 82 degrees. And that will do it for another Disney weather update. Have a great day and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.
Rebecca, my breaking news. So we just got word from the Orange County Register that the Soarin' around the world at Disney California Adventure will be updated to fix the bending Eiffel Tower. This is the same update. This is our article from back when this happened at Epcot back, November, right there it is. And yeah, it's going to be the same scene. Obviously, they're not going to change the Epcot part, but yeah, I'm glad that they're finally making this. It should be done, they said, in a few weeks, not when it reopens from being California's. I don't know what the holdup is, but I'm glad that they're finally making that change because that was always silly.
No more bendy.
No more bendy.
By the way, thanks for putting in a song that I actually know, because usually I have no idea what Ethan's singing.
See, that's what I do. I tailor it to the person I'm co-hosting with. So Doobie gets all the 80s. And
Tony Betty coming in and going, can't wait for Ethan's edition of Mr. Downtown.
Yes. But now we're going to head over to Walt Disney World and talk about Goofcot. That's right, Goofcot. It's coming this summer. We talked about before that Goofy was going to have a takeover of the Communicorp Hall there, which was our Turkey of the Year. But it's since got a little bit better. It's not quite as embarrassing. And they're going to try something new rather than just making it a festival thing. This is going to be Goofcore. There'll be all sorts of interactive games, and including Loopy Limbo and parachutes and pipsqueaks. Okay.
Okay, sure.
DJ fueled dance parties, surprise character appearances, and nonstop summer vibes, it promises. So there you go. But because of this, the hall will temporarily close starting May 12th. Mickey and Friends, that'll still be going on, and the plaza will be open, but the hall itself will close for a couple of weeks while they get ready for Goofy. This sounds so strange. I really want to know what this actually ends up being.
Goofy core. Okay, can I say my dream, my wish, as somebody who just got back from Tokyo Disneyland, would be that we would see something along the lines of a Palapalooza. I would love to see Epcot, this portion of Epcot, just become ridiculously goofified, where I see over the top statues for, Instagram fun, all these little elements like the umbrellas of whatever, little eatery nearby, or maybe the tabletops could have this over the top comic book look, various food items and fun things. I mean, maybe they could even start leaning in where it could be like 50-50, right? It's got the goofy element with the over the top for the kids, but then you've got this merchandise component that, can allow us adults partake of it in a different way, and thereby really capitalize on whatever special, kind of characterization you're doing of the zone. That just saying. I just got back from Tokyo, and it was so much fun. Duck everywhere in that like first entry zone of the park. You all the way up Main Street and then around the castle. You were immersed in duck.
I feel like Disneyland used to do things like that, like Pooh for President, and then they do like a Muppets takeover too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think
and way back when they like took over a portion of the back part over there by Toontown, and then Disney Afternoon, and they had all kinds of stand-ups and character meets and stuff like that.
Yeah, they've been playing it too safe. I'm sure today everyone will be. It's funny if you did it to the same thing today, everyone would be like, "That's so cheesy. I can't believe they're doing this." But then they look back at those like, "This is amazing. Why don't they do anything like this?" So it's
Stephen coming in and saying, "No bragging, Rebecca." Oh, I am so grateful for that opportunity. That was amazing to be able to go back. I had been to, my husband and son had not been to Tokyo Disneyland, but I will say it in some ways it made me question some of what happens here, because I'm like, oh, come on, lean in. You got all this amazing IP, for lack of a better phrase right now, but yeah, because that's what we want. That's what I feel like more and more we're seeing it more and more. But I would love just kind of to go really over the top in this small zone, because you have it. It's nice. It's compact, and so you could really just be garish.
Yeah, I agree. Well, maybe eventually they'll get on that level.
We'll
but
see.
They're not there yet. Instead, the way we're going to celebrate Disneyland 70th is with a bunch of food. Is that right? Right, Rebecca?
Yeah. Oh, there's so many yummy items coming to the Disneyland Resort for the 70th birthday. There's over 70. I'll put our article up here. Let me pop it up real quick. But I gathered up some of what I like to describe as enviable eats. And the winner overall was Troubadour Tavern as a location. It had 4 items pop up as part of this extravaganza. Right there, all conveniently in that one spot, including a tiramisu cold brew. I'm excited. The only challenge with this location is that it tends to not have a lot of sitting to eat.
Yeah.
And I actually went there for a baked potato on my last trip and ended up getting some baked potato on me, because there was nowhere to sit, and so I was trying to hold it and eat it, and yeah. So hopefully that won't be the case with the celebration, but I'm going to move on to other items at specific locations. Okay, so we've got cowboy fries. Let me know if you would eat any of these, because you are famously the pickiest eater.
I would play the theme song, except now it gets claimed for some reason.
So we've got French fries as the base, but on top of that, we're putting nacho cheese, sauteed ground beef, some of that burger sauce, and then bread and butter pickles, so the sweeter pickles. So they're calling this the cowboy fries, but I mean, really, it's kind of cheeseburger fries.
Yeah. Regular fries are fine the way they are. They don't need all of this dressing up, in my opinion. You lost me with the burger sauce and the bread and butter pickles.
I like bread and butter pickles. I'm not sure I would like all of this on my fries, though. I gotta admit, but it feels kind of poutine, like a cowboy
does.
version of poutine.
Yeah, and I'm sure burger sauce is just probably ketchup,
Thousand
mustard,
Island,
and
isn't
mayo
it?
mixed
Yeah,
together.
yeah. Way over there at Hungry Bear Barbecue, if you need some caffeine, they've got this honey cold brew. I'm sure you recognize this honey cereal on the top.
Honeycomb.
Yeah, but no, honey sweetened cold brew. If you have a honey drizzle, I love honey. I put it in my coffee often in the morning, so this sounds super tasty to me. Also at Hungry Bear, they're going to have this funnel cake fries. So that's where they, kind of in essence, they create little pieces of the fried dough rather than swirling it all. They do it in simple little pieces, a little easier to eat in some ways. So you have a cinnamon sugar topping, peach topping. So like peach cobbler on top and then ice cream on top. How about this, Kyle?
I don't know. I'm not a big fan of fruit. Like I like the flavors, but I don't like the texture. And peach always tastes dirty to me. I don't really like peach all that much.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, chat, give me a number, like 1 to 5. 1 to 5, you would eat this. You would put this on your wish list. Like, give me a number. 5 being, yes, I want it right now, please. With the churros, they're going really colorful. They're leaning into the ube trend. So you've got that bright purple. They've got the blue raspberry icing on it. This is in a variety of the cart locations. So I just put churro carts over there. Are you a churro eater?
I like churros. I would try this. It probably wouldn't be one of my favorites, but I mean, it looks like a wildberry Pop-Tart.
Okay. One of my 5s is the macaroon, the alien macaroon. I love it. This one they're decorating, adding a little birthday hat to it. They're putting a buttercream filling. So yeah, he's always tasty, always adorable. Their macarons are amazing at Disneyland. So if you have never tried one, I definitely recommend it. These are enormous. You can share them. Typically, it's like an alien head about so big. Over by Star Tours is a pretzel stand. This is the cream cheese filled one, but they're putting a lemon flavored icing on top and then putting crushed vanilla wafers on top of that.
I would try it. I like cream cheese icing. I don't really like cream cheese, but I have been having so we get these meals and a lot of them end up having like sour cream or cream cheese and I don't even know it. And so then I've become okay with it. But if it's like a featured item, I don't know. But the lemon and the vanilla wafers sound fantastic, and they could do a lot of the heavy lifting for me.
Okay. This has all sorts of elements of my favorite foods. I love the cream cheese filled pretzels at Disney parks when they're fresh. When they've been sitting around, not so much, because it's like this weird mix of stale pretzel and gooey filling. But when they're nice and fresh and doughy, I love them. And then I'm a fan of lemon. Our wedding cake had lemon icing. And I'm a big fan of vanilla wafers. Often have a box in the house. That's one of those things that I replenish when I go to Sam's Club kind of thing. So they've brought together a variety, but I'm unsure how I'm going to embrace it in this, like all of it together. It's, so it's got all my favorite pieces. So I'm interested to see how it plays as like a symphony of flavors. Do you think that he looks bad? The chat is,
I don't think that he looks that bad. I just thought it was hilarious that they're like, we're celebrating the 70th. And so they took a cookie that already exists and put a hat on him and called it a day. That's why I think it's funny. That's okay. The first thing I noticed when I looked through the guide was I saw this and just thought that it was hilarious.
I'll give you that. Now, leaning into the nostalgia, over at Red Rose Tavern, which is there in Fantasyland, a Hook's Galley tuna melt. Now, in my childhood, one of the flavors of a Disneyland visit was a tuna fish sandwich at the Captain Hook's pirate ship there in Fantasyland. So love that they're leaning in but yet elevating. So now it's going to have Munster cheese on top. It's going to have some herb marinated tomatoes, apparently an olive with a pimento, and some house chips, which I like house chips. Are you a tuna melt person?
No. But the Munster's a good cheese, underrated, underutilized.
Okay. Continuing with some nostalgia, we've got a variety of pancakes coming to Riverbell Terrace, which, as memory serves, was Pancake House, right? Hope I'm leaning. Doobie, let me know if I'm wrong, because that was my memory, and I meant to double check it before I said it, and I forgot. And now I'm remembering live on camera with all these people looking at me. So we've got a trio of pancakes. It's breakfast only. Strawberry, blueberry, apple. Thank you, Gio. Appreciate you having my back. So that I love that as well. This particular celebration cake, I'm highlighting it because I don't know if it's the pink on it or if it's the fact it's a cake, but it's got pound cake, cherry compote, confetti cake, vanilla bean mousse, lemery curd pastry. I mean, this is a layer
busy
of things. But visually, the first thing that came to my mind,
circus animal,
was this ridiculous cake, which on my TV growing up was much more pink than this Twitter clip on Echoes of Wisdom. But yeah, like I say, that's where my mind went instantly. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Oh, see, there you go. Way more pink.
Yeah. So, I think it looks like a circus animal cookie.
Really? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, with the pink and the sprinkles.
Oh yeah, no, those sprinkles are very much like the little pearls on the mother's circus animal cookies.
Yeah.
So since I think because I still had this cake in mind, when I saw the beignet coming to Tiana's, it also was like, okay, this is also bringing to mind that 10th birthday cake. Can you tell that I really hope that we have a dancing cake with the 70th?
They need to do that. They should just theme the whole thing to cake. What if they turn the castle into a cake? I don't think anyone's ever done that before.
I wish I had a group of friends that I could convince to like cosplay as a bunch of cakes for slices for the day. But we've got a house-filled celebration beignet. It's raspberry mousse inside, along with this buttercream glaze, an edible candle, so it won't be sparkly and hot. Instead, you can eat it. This is over at Tiana's Palace. And finally, this is my big question of the day, Kyle.
Sure.
Sketchpad Cafe is going to have something described as a giant 70th cupcake. So here's my question. Is the cupcake giant, or is the 70 on top of the cupcake giant?
I mean, I would hope that means that the cupcake itself is giant, because it doesn't look very exciting otherwise. But I also wonder what qualifies as giant. Like, is a cupcake the size of a muffin? That's pretty giant. But are they talking about like Pim's Test Kitchen, like an entire cake inside of a cupcake form giant?
I don't know. Only time will tell. This was the image. There was no frame of reference. It could be, you know, as we've learned from the patisserie images over there at Disney Springs, they're like, you know, at a amuse-bouche when they look like a beautiful cake. We shall see what awaits us at Sketchpad. So there you go.
Well, keep alert on Giant Cupcake Watch 2025. Starting just a couple weeks, we'll be at the Disneyland Resort checking all of this out. So, But that's not it for the 70th. We also have some
popcorn
buckets and sippers I wanted to highlight. So we obviously have this light up balloon style Mickey popcorn bucket, and then I'm calling this Big Head Mickey popcorn bucket. I guess you need a place to put the popcorn. So he's got a kind of inflated head that's a little disturbing if you look at it in context. We also have, this is going to be a hit. This is Harold from the Matterhorn. He's a sipper. You don't see a straw on him, so how would you know? But he's apparently a sipper. And then they have some more classic things that actually look like popcorn buckets, but have some classic, but, you know, modern, definitely they're going with a bright aesthetic for sure, Rebecca, like you were saying with the pink cake. It's a very bright celebration that they're doing here.
Yeah,
there's also a sipper. This is a stainless steel tumbler, which is cool. There's also a marquee straw, Tinkerbell clip,
And
some of the little things.
Every item on this list I want except one.
What?
I'm not interested in the Tinkerbell clip, but everything else I want to bring home with me. This glow cube with the D, this beautiful. I mean, this is from a specialty event up there at so I'm not probably going to be bringing this one home. It's beautiful, but up there at the Tomorrowland Skyline Terrace, it's like the upper level of the round building there in I don't even know what to call it anymore. Is it because
I think it's still Star Wars Launch Bay.
Okay.
On the bottom.
So,
yeah, I like this little rocks glass. But again, like Rebecca's saying, like you got to be special and go up there, and I think it's a paid experience.
Yeah.
But next, we're going to talk about. I've said on this show plenty of times that there are too many Emmys, and this is not breaking that theory.
Yeah. Oh, Disney has pulled a lot of them. Let me make sure I've got my little notes right here. The title from Disney that seems to have gathered the most is the Trafficked series that's over under the National Geographic umbrella. I mean, it pulled nominations for Outstanding Recorded News, Outstanding Science and Tech, Outstanding Writing, Outstanding Research, Outstanding Direction, Outstanding Editing. I mean, that's just a few of them. So clearly Traffic is highly honored within these, especially episode 5, Apes. If you haven't seen that, that dynamic, that industry is the 4th most lucrative crime, 20 to 30 billion annually. So be sure to learn more about that and the efforts to save those apes in the Congo. The other title that I noticed was pulling a lot of reviews, a lot of nominations here, Kyle, is the Billy and Molly, an Otter Love Story. And we've had numerous reviews and interviews with the creative team and the individuals involved in that delightful documentary. So yeah, there you go, the Emmys.
And several of those are National Geographic. And speaking of National Geographic, we got to look at their next project.
Honoring Sally Ride, female astronaut, first woman astronaut. And she was on the, I want to say it was the second Challenger shuttle mission. And this particular documentary takes a look at what she went through breaking that glass ceiling. And then later on in her life, her long partnership, romance with her Tam O'Shaughnessy, her life partner, was revealed. And so that kind of diving into their relationship over the years is also a part of this. In fact, the director talks about how she was drawn to this trailblazing woman who fought for respect in that male-dominated world. So it's going to be a passionate look at Sally Ride.
Yeah, that's going to be on National Geographic on June 16th, and then it'll be available later on Disney Plus and Hulu. So you can check that out. We've got back-to-back news for Geo. Joffrey's has announced they're getting in the 70th anniversary game. They're going to be having a special 70th anniversary blend for Disneyland. This one's a dark roast. So this is just chocolatey notes with a subtly sweet finish, not any flavoring like they tend to do. It looks like it'll be available as whole bean, ground, or in K-cups there. But then on top of that, there's another Stitch blend. This isn't their first Stitch one, but there's a new Ohana blend now available. And this one's interesting. This has flavors. This is notes of pineapple and sweet coconut cream.
Ooh.
Over in a medium roast.
Pina colada coffee.
They didn't want to call it that after the White Lotus finale. So they went with this. But yeah, that sounds interesting. I do really like Joffrey's. Even I'm not a big fan of flavored I don't mind a flavored latte, but a flavored coffee I don't always like. But I think Joffrey's has like a nice balance. It's got that flavor in there without feeling overly like artificial to me.
Yep.
So, yep. Be sure to check both of those out. And then yes, I saw when I put this on the list, I knew that this was going to be a Rebecca story, and here it is.
Yeah, Vanderpump Villa season 2 reunion. It's what caught my eye, to be honest, is that it's going to be hosted by Stassi Schroeder, She was part of Vanderpump Rules. I did not know that she had returned for this second season. That she had returned to the kind of that Vanderpump world within season 2 of Vanderpump Villa. So having put this on my radar now, I'm going to have to go put those episodes on my watch list so that I check it out, because I kind of checked out of the Vanderpump world, but I have continued to follow Stassi, and her Instagram, she has like, oh man, is it 3 million, or I want to say 3 million followers. And she popped up in my feed recently because she talked about how she described her kids are my cover for my inner Disney adult, and had an adorable carousel of her and her kids at Disneyland. So Hulu's revealed the second season finale trailer. The episode is going to appear, this reunion episode, May 8th.
Sounds fun. And lastly, well, not lastly in this section, because we're also going to check out the Disney Plus top 10, but I do want to mention some interesting news, which is that 2 internal creative agencies at Disney, Yellow Shoes and the Hive, which I doubt most people have heard of, they will be combining and under the leadership of brand officer Asad Ayez. So Yellow Shoes was doing more of like the parks stuff and the parks and experiences. And then the Hive was more studios and other parts of the Disney brand. So now they're still going to have some of the same leadership at each team, but they'll both report to Assad. And some internal Disney news for your day.
So can I share a fun little anecdote?
Sure.
I am familiar with Yellow Shoes, and that's because several decades ago, I was trying to come up with a name for a side project. And I thought, oh, Yellow Shoes, that'll fit, because it was kind of, I wanted to create an aspect of Laughing Place that was like more volunteer oriented and try and organize people that way and whatnot. And I thought, hey, we're going to be doing stuff. You do stuff, you're walking, Mickey's Yellow Shoes. Let's go with that. So I Google it. Disney's already using it. I'm like, oh, well, because I was thinking, oh, that's generic enough that I won't get, caught up. No, they had it. So I was like, well, I better not do that. They probably won't, because that was back in the days when you didn't even have Disney in your URL.
Right.
So yeah.
And then let's take a look at the Disney Plus top 10. And since this is a Disney streaming service, of course, you'd expect to see Kung Fu Panda in the #1 slot. And this is on the TVMA, by the way. Andor in second place. Thunderbolt, a special look. People thinking that Thunderbolts is streaming on Disney Plus when it's not. That's our theory there. Rio 2 in the #4. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which was released some.
Did Kyle just disappear for everybody else, or only me? Chat, let me know.
Back?
Okay, you're back. Okay.
Yeah, no, I heard you say that, and then I saw myself fall off the screen. Anyway, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Sony movie, but Disney related. Good American Family in 6th. Revenge of the Sith. People realizing you could go see it in the theater, or you could just watch it on Disney Plus. Phantom Menace also up there. Kung Fu Panda 2, of course, and Attack of the Clones. The entire prequel trilogy in the Disney Plus top 10 today. Who would have it any other way?
That's awesome. Well, we're pulling up on May the 4th, so
that's true. Yeah, May the 4th. I'll just say real fast, we got a ton going on that day. Mike will be at Disneyland. Yeah. I'm pretty sure Jeremiah is going to be at Walt Disney World. There's all sorts of Disney Store stuff happening that day. I'm so sick of May the 4th. I feel like they did pull back a little bit, but it's still kind of annoying. I wish they did more in the parks and less in the merch.
I am so like I am so like, give me more. I'm like, oh no, give me more. I just wish I had more money for it. But no, I geek out every single time. Late last night, I geeked out over one that I'll be talking about later. But as far as this trilogy thing, I'm wondering if the same thing happened to those people that happened to me. I'm watching Andor, and there's a tiny little screen that's showing some pod racing during a moment, and it was like, oh, pod racing. Okay.
Cut you off, Rebecca, but we have breaking. And to help us discuss it, we're going to bring on Benjamin. Hello, Benjamin.
Hey, Ben. Hello. What's going on?
We had the opportunity to preview the Walt Disney A Magical Life show coming to Disneyland on July 17th.
Oh, cool.
So there's an article on Laughing Place
I'm
with
pulling that up.
all the details. But basically, they've invested in a huge turntable that will allow them to do both the Walt show and the Lincoln show, although initially they'll just run the Walt show.
Of course.
But it will start with the 15-minute One Man's Dream movie, which debuted in 2001 at Hollywood Studios. And at first I thought like, oh, it's kind of a rehash. But then I realized I love that movie. I can't imagine doing Walt's story in 15 minutes any better. So why try? And then you'll have a 2-minute experience with Walt. There's Jeff Shaver Moskowitz and Tom Fitzgerald demonstrating the turntable. So Walt will have sort of a backdrop inspired by his office. It's not meant to be true to life, but evocative of his office, both kind of a meld of the 3H office and his soundstage office, which you saw on TV. And then the turntable can spin. I mean, it won't spin during the show, but it can spin and present the other show. So, this is a look at his jacket. They worked with the Walt Disney Family Museum on making sure the fabrics were right. This hair product was right. His tie and jewelry was right. Really trying to put a lot of attention to detail. Outside of the show is a new exhibit called Disneyland Evolution or Evolution Disneyland, something to that effect. But they actually worked with the Walt Disney Family Museum to get some of the original products from the apartment, Walt's Main Street apartment, and put it where Walt's offices used to be in those sort of glass rooms.
Okay.
Obviously, you can still visit Walt's apartment, if you take the tours of such, but that has been redone several times because it was Walt's personal apartment, so it's Walt's personal bit. So,
Right.
But the show, they wouldn't say it's the most advanced audio animatronic because it's not like the Shaman where everything is moving and it's a little bit more constrained than that. But I have to say it's definitely the most. We got to see a mock-up. You didn't see the actual figure, but we got to see what they call like look development take. And I've never seen an audio animatronic look that lifelike. It was sort of like a Madame Tussauds level experience, and that like. They said that, traditionally you didn't have to design audio animatronics to be seen up close because they'd be far away. And, you just had to have enough to fool you. But with cell phones and be able to zoom in, they really wanted to get it so that you can walk up close to it. So they had us walk up close. Like, that you'll never be able to get that close. And even just like his fingernails, like how, they're not perfectly groomed. Like it's just, it was that level of detail that was quite impressive. The audio will be actual Walt's interviews taken through various time periods. They've slightly tweaked the audio just to make it sound consistent, but otherwise it's its own words.
Totally.
They're kind of going for a 1963 vibe, which is the time of that Canadian interview that we all sort of know. Walt where someone could bring his 2 daughters, like that. You've seen that video.
Speaking to that, since we have all seen so much video footage of Walt and they're bringing to life an actual individual in that way that we've seen Walt Disney and his mannerisms and that type of thing. Were there any unique, did they discuss any of kind of the dynamics of that aspect of it?
Well, they talked about how, they didn't just go to Garnet Hole and we're like, hey, we need an AA and put Walt's skin on it. Yeah. They said they knew what kind of performance they needed out of him. So they designed the audio animatronic to do that. And they've learned lessons from it that will now apply to future audio animatronics. But they said the basic thing is they knew they needed the expressive eyebrows and they knew they needed the eye twinkle. And so, for example, too, obviously it's playing in literal rotation with Great Moments of Mr. Lincoln. But they said, there's obviously a contrast where you have Mr. Lincoln and then you have Walt. So you have Walt, Lincoln stands up, like a president, and Walt will be kind of leaning against his desk, familiar vibe from his TV show, and it'll be much more casual and informal.
Which to me makes sense because that's in many ways that's how we've always seen Walt. We rarely we rarely saw him in an incredibly formal dynamic, even when he was, walking through and showcasing the Pirates of the Caribbean, right? He was so jovial and casual with his interactions with everybody then too. So that's cool, because I think the only time I could ever think of him as being formal is that extremely brief clip of him at the dedication of Disneyland, to all who come to this happy place. That's like the only time I could think of him as being that kind of, presidential style orator, focused.
Yeah, and we didn't get to hear what he's going to say. Pulling the audio, where they seem to pull the audio from is much more from interviews and not just from speeches. Obviously Lincoln is giving a speech because he's a president, whereas this is much more of kind of not necessarily looking back wistfully, but just kind of, if you think of 1963, Mary Poppins is being filmed. You have the 64 World's Fair under development, initial inklings of Walt Disney World, Tiki Room just opened. There's a lot of irons in the fire at this point, and he can, for the first time, he can actually sort of not just be famous because he's Walt Disney, but he's actually he's not constantly being pressured of imminent failure, like he will, with the war and then, mortgaging his house to build Disneyland and all those things, sort of at his peak, and I've heard that before. One Man's Dream itself has always sort of started with the premiere of Mary Poppins, because that's sort of considered his, grand opus. And this is kind of in that same vein. And it's also, I think, a good call, because while we love young Walt, the one we saw on TV was in the last decade of his life. And so, that's the one we're most familiar with. This one that feels also sort of grandfatherly, like, you just Uncle Walt. Like, it would be weird to have the 1928 Uncle Walt. Like, it just wouldn't feel right.
Yeah, no, totally. I was trying to think if that this announcement has kind of been, there's a mixture of response from within the fan community regarding it, because over the years there was a lot of messaging to us as fans that this was not something that Walt would want, that something that we would see, because Walt didn't want to be an animatronic or that kind of thing. So I feel like I'll speak personally. When this was announced, I kind of had a bit of an arms crossed posture. I kind of like cautiously a little skeptical, kind of like, should we is this really, how did this, if you know me well enough, if I'd have been there, if I'd have seen this and heard this presentation, do you think that would have kind of, softened maybe my stance would be a little less guarded?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we didn't see the show, and that's going to be the piece. But what I thought was smart for the PR team was they had the creatives out there, and they care. Like, they didn't do it. This isn't a corporate mandate. This isn't, we need to have more Marvel attractions in the park. Like, this was done out of labor of love. Now, you can discuss all you want whether Walt would have wanted this or not. I think that's a little.
Well, you can. I'm always hesitant with such things, because people have very strong opinions at one phase of their life, and then over time they can soften. And simply because, unfortunately, we lost him, I don't like to lock him into that's how he would have. He was speaking for the end of time. I'm hesitant to do that kind of thing. So
I also took it as like, I always took it as, hey, Walt, you want to AA of yourself? Oh no, like not like it's disrespectful or I'm insulted, because it never made sense to me that if he would do it for Abraham Lincoln, that he would view it as a sign of disrespect. I just feel like, who's going to say they want a figure of themselves in their theme park? I think that, he never put a statue of himself in the park. Like, it was Disneyland because that was the brand, but this sort of Walt everywhere thing didn't exist when he was around. He was just there as the sort of spokesman.
No, and it's funny you point to that, because I can remember a little bit of skepticism when Partners was introduced at the park, and now I can't envision the park without it.
And it's hard to think of the value Partners brings right there in the hub. it just shows you, and I'm not a huge statue guy. Like, it can kind of weird me out a little. Sometimes it's like, who are we bowing down to? But this is his creation, and we need to, it's appropriate to honor that.
Yeah.
It's not done to satisfy his own ego. It's done to remind us that Disneyland is based on Walt Disney's dream. And I don't think that's inappropriate. And,
I'm sorry to jump in, but I like the idea of the reality that it takes people. That's one of his quotes is, and I love that in some ways he kind of has become a focus of that while it is a business and it is a corporation, it's actually people. People have these dreams, people have this vision, and then others come together, and over time it becomes realized. And I think it's inspirational, reminds you to go for your goal, kind of pursue what you're passionate about, because look what can happen.
And on that note, the post show is going to be a tribute to cast members. And a history of the cast members, and on that where that mural that the spirit murals are now, or not murals, but photo display. But I think I've been thinking a lot about Walt, because I want Epic Universe. I mean, in that, like, what is Epic Universe missing? And Epic Universe is missing the spirit that comes with having guiding principles that Walt set, that most people at the organization, particularly on the creative side, rally behind. And I think it's, at some point someone would have created theme parks, but I don't know that they would have done it to the level of artistry that Disney has done if it wasn't for that vision that came from Walt. And what makes Disney special is not what Walt gave us necessarily outside, a physical asset, but I think it's the way he's able to inspire people to continue that dream. I mean, the fact that Disneyland will never be completed, which is the most used Walt quote ever, but it's important because the people working there today trace their lineage, not necessarily hereditarily, but
right.
Spiritually, to the principles of Walt. Now, those things change and evolve as taste change, as storytelling evolves, but it's all guarded around the same sort of concept of, stepping into a special place with great service, themed experiences, and storytelling. And, I think much like the partner statue inspired me to learn more about Walt, I think someday, 25 years from now, we're going to see a eager Imagineer who's going to be like, I went to Walt Disney: A Magical Life, and I heard him, and then I bought the Bob Thomas book, and that's all going to happen because of this. And in a world where sometimes, especially us who talk about it every day, you can see where the budget lines are, right? Like, you can say, like, well, maybe I should have had one more character, but spending a significant amount of money to buy the turntable and the lease, not to let the animatronic and the design costs, for something that's not going to drive gate. No one's coming to Disneyland just to see this, outside of people watching this show. So I think that's a good statement to send to.
Very cool. I'm excited now.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Ben. I think that's a good place to leave it off, but go ahead.
I was just going to ask, do we have a debut date for this? Because I haven't been following it.
July 17th.
Oh, it is specifically the birthday? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Yep, it was delayed 2 months.
Okay.
As I like to remind people.
Okay, so July 17th. Happy birthday, Disneyland, with the additional of Walt.
All right, we're moving right along. Bye, Ben.
Bye.
Oh, I guess I cut it off by accidentally switching back to thing. I'll play it again. I learned that when I change the different displays, it changes that. I thought I could just sneakily do it, but that's not the case.
Sneakily.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to mention a few things happening around LP. First of all, yesterday was Disney MGM Studios' birthday. So Cole wrote a look back at the lottery and part of his Extinct Attractions retrospective. So you can go and check that out on Laughing Place. Also, Mike yesterday was at a preview event, special event for Chalk Walk 2025. This is going to be happening on August 3rd. If you're not familiar, it benefits the Children's Hospital of Orange County. You get to go to walk through Disneyland. It's not like a Run Disney event where it's, actual running. It's a walk in the park, just a nice casual. It's always a ton of fun. And he got to hear from some of the people and see some of what Chalk's efforts and how they're able to help people as a result of this event and many others.
Take a picture with Chaco.
It's exactly. And then also, I haven't seen Thunderbolts yet. I was supposed to see it last night. Did not get a chance to. But if you have, and you have questions about that, what is apparently the longest post-credit scene in MCU history, you can read all about it. Mac's breakdown, rather, over on Laughing Place. But of course, spoilers. So proceed at your own risk. All right, Rebecca, are you ready for your quiz?
No, but I'll pretend I am.
Okay, good. It's a pretty short one.
Okay.
This one, on this day in 1964, that's a pretty big hint. This attraction debuted after lots of technical problems.
I'm so bad with Disneyland history.
Well, this is not in Disneyland. It's actually somewhere else in 1964, if you can believe it.
Oh, so we're talking World's Fair. So Lincoln?
Yeah, conveniently enough, it was Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, which we were just talking about. So I thought that was funny. I almost shared that fact before realizing that it would spoil this moment for us.
I love how many people, you read articles back then of people who believed it was an actor. It wasn't an animatronic figure. It was an actor. I could see the sweat.
So yeah, I thought it was funny that it had technical issues for a couple weeks, so it finally debuted. So I guess the Walt show being delayed 2 months is just perfectly in line with the whole thing.
True to form.
On this day in 1972, a future Disney legend was born. His credits include The Jungle Cruise, The Game Plan, and Moana.
Oh, so that would be The Rock.
That is Dwayne The Rock. Can you smell what The Rock is cooking? Johnson. There he is.
The final
people's
boss.
Eyebrow.
That what he is now, the final boss.
Yeah. And finally, on this day in 2003, a feature film debuted based on a beloved and popular Disney Channel show.
Okay, wait. It's based on a Disney Channel show. You said it was a what?
It's a feature. It opened in theaters.
Oh, is it musical?
It's not a music. Well, it's got musical elements, but no, it's not a High School Musical.
Oh man. Okay, then I don't know.
Lizzie McGuire movie.
Oh, and I even saw that in theater. I loved that movie.
Hey now.
Mm-hmm.
We got just one more segment because we're gonna skip and the rest, but we are gonna do our winners and losers.
All I do is win, no matter what. I'm a loser.
That doesn't get claimed.
Fred's popping in to say Iron Man release 2008. So there you go. I'm just sharing what Fred said.
Yes, released by Paramount at the time.
Yeah, so there you have it. Okay, so do I get to go first?
You can choose. You're the guest. You can choose to go first. Yeah, but it's going to be a snake. So you'll do your winner, and then I'll do winner loser, and then you'll do loser.
Okay, so my winner are all of us who are trash can lovers because they have added some adorable new figures to make sure that you know where your food scraps go in the separating out your garbage when you're at Disneyland. How cute is this guy on top of the trash cans at Tomorrowland, and then over at California Adventure? Not quite so adorable, but still fun.
That's my least favorite of the three that we've spotted so far.
Yeah, we have an entire roundup of the ones we've spotted this week. I'm sure more are to come, but I'm sorry, that BD droid, man, way too cute.
Yeah. Well, my winner this week is Big City Greens because, as we discussed, they've hit their milestone 100th episode, which will be airing tomorrow. Tony and Benji got a chance to interview the two creators. You could hear that on the Laughing Place Unbalanced podcast or read the interview. But Yeah, I've been aware of the show. I know that they did the NHL thing. And as Tony notes, the second longest running Disney Channel show behind Phineas and Ferb now. So congratulations to the Houghtons on their success with Big City Greens. But my loser this week is people who like to buy their merchandise from Disney Store, because they went ahead and raised the as you can see in this banner up here. Now you have to spend $99 or more to get free shipping, on top of the thing that I already thought was complete crap, which is that you need to still enter a code to get the free shipping. It doesn't do it automatically. So yeah, that's up from $75 that it was previously. Now you have to spend a minimum of $99, which means that if you're buying an $80 Spirit jersey, you still have to buy something else. Otherwise you have to pay for shipping, which is frustratingly insane.
Wow. Okay. So my loser now, I guess I could go with those of us who are trash can top diners, because then that thing's going to be in the way. But meanwhile, Doobie's going with Universal Japan because they're adding Minion Blast. You're so wrong.
They should just cut a hole in the top of the thing. You're like, oh, you want my food scraps? Well, I'll just eat over this, and then the food scraps will just fall right in.
By the way, Tony, giving you some love.
Thank you.
My loser is my Sunday and my budget. Because they've announced that it's an exclusive over there at Gizmodo, but they've announced a Star Speeder replica is coming for the current version, and that, you know how last time I had the clip of the thing and everything for the classic attraction. This is going to be the Adventures Continue, so it means my son is still disappointed that we didn't get the last one. So I'm thinking that I'm going to end up spending Sunday trying to get into DisneyStore.com to buy this. And so therefore both my budget and whatever time I end up refreshing. So I am the loser.
And paying for shipping.
Yes, and paying for shipping. No, there's no way it's under 99.
Yeah.
No way. That's the only thing I don't know yet. So I don't know if it's actually going to happen. But right now I have a dollar point in mind. So once that link pops up, we'll see.
Yeah. Well, that will do it for this edition of the Laughing Place Disney Morning Show. I forgot what it was called. Do we have trivia tomorrow?
As far as I know, we do. So Doobie can pop in here and say otherwise. But no, as far as I know, we do. So it's exciting.
Yep, and then of course we'll have plenty of coverage from July 4th. Wow, July 4th, May the 4th day. So be sure to follow along.
And today, Mike is at Disneyland Resort, so expect our X and other socials to be full of lovely images from around Disneyland today. So yeah.
I also want to mention, if you're not subscribed to our Disney newsletter, be sure to subscribe. We just revamped it. There's new sections. So now you can more easily find whatever it is that you care about, whether it's Disneyland, Disney World, merchandise, or check out some of our features and videos. All of it's right there. So you can go to laughingplace.com/newsletter or laughingplace.com/subscribe. Just enter your email address. And then when the confirmation email comes, you click accept or click the little link. And you'll get it every day. And it'll also show you what's coming up the next day. So
that should have been my winner, my husband, because some people's honeydew lists are things like, finally mend the fence or whatever. My honeydew list, the newsletter has been one of them. The other one he's working on now. So hopefully y'all will get to enjoy that when that happens. But newsletter, sign up for it. Check it out. I like what we've been able to do with it, and it'll you'll be able to more easily find kind of the pulse of what's happening in that world of Disney.
There you go. Well, have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you back here on Monday. Bye.